on here. So it's not the fact that it's just this entitlement. It's this elitist mindset. They're probably not even thinking it all the way through. But just the fact that they have that and we don't gives them that power, that privilege, and they certainly do negotiate our lives without any thought, and just kind of the smugness to it all. It's always been like that. Any politician negotiating war when they know they or their family members never have to sign up. Same with nuclear war. They have a little fail safe for them underground. We'll see how luxury it stays though after year 8 or 9. We'll see how they're doing. Well, we won't see because we won't be here. But I'm not holding my breath for them on that. Okay. Let's take one more, and then I'm gonna come back to this later after we're done with Don. Oh, here we go. Chatter X. Due to the globalism, we now have international fascism, imperialism instead of national fascism, which is Nazism. Thank you for that, ChatterX. Really appreciate that. Let's see. A lot more from ChatterX. Appreciate it. I'll get to some of that later. Let's see. One more, and then we're gonna move on here. Let's see. Oh, Leslie did chime in. Hey, Leslie, as a 10-year nurse in end of life, never heard or seen toe cancer. That is a reference to Nick, who brought this up. No, it was Jay Scott who brought this up with us earlier today about Jimi Hendrix. I'd like to look into that because apparently toe cancer is a unique sort of thing that only happened to Jimi Hendrix and no one else before and no one else since. And take it from Leslie, our trusted RN of the family, of the Homeless Love family, who has never, ever, ever heard or seen toe cancer. Thank you, Leslie. And we look forward to having you back in the future. Okay, we'll get to some more of your guys' comments in a little bit. Right now, I am pleased to welcome to the show because we have a topic that's very important today. We talk about censorship. We talk about censorship in all forms it takes, whether it's shadow banning or knocking people off platforms, canceling news outlets. We've seen what they've done to Sputnik recently, and we've seen what they've done to a lot of other indie journalists. We've seen what they've done to our channel, our YouTube channel. A lot of friends, even Fiorella, who was just on, she got her YouTube channel terminated. Did we think this could happen to public radio news organization? Did we think that was possible? Well, apparently it's even possible to happen to public news radio. As we've heard recently from our next guest, Don DeBar, we'll bring him in right now. Don DeBar, journalist, activist, covering the news on all his ways he does it, and obviously a longtime affiliate with KPFK Pacifica Radio. Please welcome to the show, back to the show, friend of the show, Don DeBar. Hey, Don. Oh, we don't have your sound. I think you got to plug you in.
How's that?
Gotcha. Welcome, Don.
Thanks. It's my, I'm pleased to be here. I appreciate you taking the time to cover this and to give me a little air to discuss it. I had the sound down because I had the last delivery of cases of beer for the nuclear winter vigil that we're going to be holding. I figured 2 cases should last like 10 years, and we have 2 spare air filters, and I think at least 20 gallons of water. That should work, right?
Get you at least to the fourth quarter, maybe.
What are these people thinking?
I don't know. So
this is what I've been covering on KPFK. I guess I'll start at the beginning.
Yeah. Right? What happened at KPFK? This is our Pacifica Radio network right here in LA. We've been there. We've done broadcasts there. We were performing right before the lockdown. Last time I was in the studio, and I know they were always asking the public to chip in. We got to keep public radio alive. We see it all the time. We did last time I was there in person was, I guess it was before the pandemic, but we did a thing with Ed Asner before he passed away, and we I love the network. I know you do great work there. I know it's run people out in the past. It's run Jimmy Dore out of there. So we know that there's been some issues. But what happened with you? With I guess it's a Rebel News Alliance. Is there Rebel Alliance News? That's the entity. Please tell us what went down at KPFK with this independent media team that was, I guess, up till now was broadcasting on public radio on KPFK Pacifica.
Yeah, this is the afternoon drive time news program, 1 hour. It runs at 6 o'clock. Ran 6 o'clock on KPFK FM in Los Angeles. I was involved, I guess, about 2 years altogether. Ziri Ridow is the person who founded it. She was sort of she acted as executive producer, but a very hands-on, role that she played as that. She's been around. She was at AFP, Agence Presse France, BBC, Reuters, etc. She's a good, solid news person. She had me doing international news and also domestic politics. So I do a 10-minute segment each day, Monday through Friday. Again, airing at drive time afternoon in Los Angeles, and then I cycle it out through my YouTube page and elsewhere. And frankly, with with the internet, with social media, compared to terrestrial radio, especially the smaller nonprofits, more people hear the newscast after the fact anyway than do on the air. But that isn't the point. The newscast is a part of a collective. My piece is a part of a collective, and the newscast itself is an aggregate of the work of a collective of people who do local reporting on Santa Barbara issues and issues in all of the different neighborhoods and towns around Los Angeles area, California issues, and U.S. issues, education, finance, all these different things. Very good, talented people too. And I have been covering so my week, I guess we'll start with that. I would have on pretty much once a week Mark Sloboda, who's an American retired military officer and an academic, from London School of Economics, etc., like that, world-class academic, who is an instructor, lecturer at Moscow State University on international affairs. I would have him on about international affairs, particularly Eurasian international affairs and the big power disputes or the interactions between the United States, China, and Russia. I would have Stephen Sefton and some others from Latin America. Stephen Sefton is a journalist and an activist, lives in Nicaragua since the mid-'80s. He has contacts I've had on, for example, the foreign minister of Nicaragua, et cetera, and others, Dan Kovalik, Cynthia McKinney, all different people with expertise in different areas, as I would cover, stories that are global. I have some journalist colleagues in Africa and Asia that I would have on, depending on what story it was, what field of expertise they have, etc. Contacts at CGTN, RT, Sputnik, Telesorter, etc. And Press TV, and we draw on all of these. And then for domestic politics, since I spent a good 40 or 50 years doing that, a very good group of people to draw upon. For the presidential election, the expert that I've been drawing on is based at the nexus point, I thought. It turned out to be true for this election, which was Philadelphia, and particularly the Black community in Philadelphia. It was his contention in the two conversations that we had, the one before and after the election, that were apparently the stimulus to giving us the boot, that some small group of a couple of thousand Black men voting in some neighborhoods of Philadelphia could determine how Philadelphia would go in the election, which in turn would determine how Pennsylvania would go, which in turn would determine who won the election. And except for the last point, but perhaps not, he turned out to be absolutely correct. Trump did better than expected among those voters, and Harris did much worse than expected. And consequently, Philadelphia was not a weapon for Harris's campaign to take Pennsylvania, which in fact they lost. And the only reason that I say that might not have been decisive is that all of the other swing states that were supposedly toss-ups, Trump won. And so perhaps without Philadelphia, he might have won anyway, or without Pennsylvania, he might have won anyway. So Tony Montero is his name. He's a professor of political science. He was once a department head at Temple University. He banged heads with the management there as they attempted to decimate a black community in Philadelphia, and he went in and helped organize successfully the resistance to that. He runs something called the Saturday Free School in Philadelphia that is a school for political science, philosophy, and activism. It is sort of it's a very interesting place where discussion and activity takes place. And we were talking about the election, and he sees it in terms of, he saw the Trump phenomenon in particular, and then the response of the state to that as being Trump basically taking advantage of, or being lifted in any event, by an actual working class movement with a large fragment, however you want to characterize it, of the working class standing up and saying enough. And that the nature of this was not, in fact, racist or reactionary, but a response to the failure of all of the other alleged progressive leadership to actually actualize any changes in the continuously deteriorating condition of workers in the country. And that they do in fact constitute a movement, and actually are a part of a working class movement that can also be seen in the vote that lifted Bernie Sanders, and in the people who were in the streets over Black Lives Matter and other things, looking at the Occupy, all of these different manifestations of workers are really a peak at a working class movement that has yet to take full form, but that is not just bubbling under the surface, but is standing up. So he views the treatment of Trump by the establishment in the context of a war between the workers' movement and the establishment, and with Trump being a possible accidental and perhaps only symbolic leader of that movement, regardless of how they view it, but not an enemy of the people, which is what the official narrative is. And in fact, that the people who are trying to, prosecute him, kick him off the ballot, et cetera, from the elite, those people are in fact the enemy of the people. This is his position. We have a conversation about it on November 1st and I aired about 11 minutes. And because I pretty much agree with his entire framing of the issue, and we've discussed this perspective now on and off since 2015, 2016, including discussing it for the week of the Republican convention in Cleveland and the Democratic convention in Philadelphia. And I'm familiar with it, and I'm familiar with him in this conversation. And so it's not an adversarial Q&A when I interview him about this. Somehow, and this is the format that's used now. If you watch CNN, MSNBC, Fox, all of them. The relationship between interviewer and interviewee is not what it was when they were being grilled by, Walter Cronkite or whatever.
Right.
So there was commentary from the general manager after I submitted the modality, the method that we use. I produced my piece. I'm in New York. I'm New York Times, so I have 3 hour advantage to produce a 6 o'clock news piece for the West Coast. So I would get my piece done 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon here in New York, and then send it out in an email blast. We'd have the executive producer, Ziri. Then there are 5 producers, we'll call them. They're really a stringer and the reader. Each of us would send Monday this person, Tuesday that person, Wednesday. There's 5 people. This is my piece. Here's the introduction for you to read as the anchor. And so that person would take however many pieces there were. It doesn't total 58 minutes, of course, when you got 7 or 8 different people working on 7 or 8 different things at 7 or 8 different locations. There's some editing to do and some discretion. Generally, the judgment calls are made in consultation with Ziri, who's the actual editor. She's editorial control. And then these individuals would, string it together in sequence and read their parts in between. Hi, this is the Rebel Alliance News for Tuesday, November 6th, whatever the hell it was, 2024. Tonight from New York, we have Don DeBar with a discussion about the election in Los Angeles. A protest outside of the mayor's office resulted in 4 arrests. From the Bay Area, there's a discussion about the garbage in the streets. We have all that and more, including some clips from so-and-so in wherever.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they go to the first clip, read the script, play the clip, etc. So that happens 5 times a week.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to send a clip around 9 minutes daily. It's almost never that. You get Mark Sloboda on the phone or Tony Montero or whatever. You're lucky if it's 9 hours to get it. And it's all, I have a hard time editing it because it's all it's all stuff people need to learn. No, but you have the reality of the format. So
good format, yeah.
They work that out. I send it to Ziri, to the producer of the day, to the other producers, just to keep them in on it, so we all feel like a team, and also to the interim general manager, Michael Novick, just because he was a person that put the show on in the first place, and I'm of the belief that he was a friend of the project, and so I had heard from him on a couple of occasions. He did not like the way I characterized basically Trump's campaign and the political campaign against him. In each case, that was his problem. So, and despite his protests and his considerable record, to the contrary, it's remarkably similar to the Democratic Party line characterizes Trump. I'm not surprised, and I'm not calling him a Democrat, but that's a fact anyway. So I send the piece in. I forget what it was, 11 minutes, 14. It was obviously going to be edited, and I got a note back from him saying, this is. I've warned you about this before. On the one hand, this guy is making ridiculous statements like characterizing the Trumpettes or whatever term he used, I forget, as a political movement or as a workers' movement, and that Trump is some kind of a leader of a workers' movement. That's patently absurd or ridiculous. I forget what term he used, and which wasn't exactly what I did. And also, in that, I forget how he put it, but that I was being too chummy with Tony, that I should be, opposing what this guy's saying or challenging him or, et cetera, making him work for it if he's going to make statements like that. So I said, look, so he said, so it's not going to air. I said, really?
But that's happened before, right? You've had stories that don't air.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Go on to the next
one thing. I said, fine.
Yeah.
I'm out.
But,
bye.
Right.
I don't do this.
Right.
So I got a call back from Ziri, and she asked me what happened. I told her. I sent her copies of the whatever correspondence we had. And anyway, next thing I knew, excuse me, she had negotiated cutting it down to 5 minutes or something, 6 minutes, whatever, so that it could air. I think on Monday. I sent it in on Friday, November 1st. I think it aired Monday, 4th, November 4th. So the day before the election. It was okay that it was edited. I expected that it would be. I never compared, my piece with what ended up airing. So I don't know what she chose to leave in or out and how much was an accommodation to his political opinions and how much of it was, just this is what had to be done to get the core of your thing across and have it fit in format.
Right.
So I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. She's been great working with her over all this time. So then we got through it. And then they tell me Monday night they want to have a Zoom meeting. I don't usually do them. I work all the time, and when I'm not working, I don't want to be bothered, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I get up at 4 o'clock, and I was on 7 o'clock this morning for an hour and a half doing an interview with some folks in China about the election. Doing this. When it's over, it's like, I'm going to go watch TV or drink or walk my dog or hang out with my girlfriend or whatever and have a life in between all this work that I'm doing.
Oh, that's right. We have lives outside of this. I forget sometimes.
Yeah. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. It's been good times.
Anyway, in the midst of I said, I'll do it. She asked me to do it, so I'll do it. So in the middle of this, I find out that the guy who's the Friday host, it's the guy who reads and strings on Friday, is of the belief that it's his show. That's how he refers to this newscast on Friday. It's my show. And I make editorial decisions. And I decided that it wasn't going to air. And I think it's a ridiculous reactionary point of view, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, okay. I again expressed, I said, look, if this is the way this is, I don't want to be involved with this. Frankly, the work that I'm doing that you're talking about, I'm going to be doing anyway. I've been doing it anyway for decades. And so this much overhead so that it can be heard by a few thousand people from time to time isn't really worth it. I'd like to help Ziri out and help you folks out on your project, but I don't really have the time to do this. And I certainly don't have the inclination. And I was going to get nasty and personal, and I didn't.
Right.
But I was close enough, which made me say I don't need to be here. So Ziri said again, please just don't do anything. And so it turned out she fired him. She said, look, this is my program, not yours. And if you think that you're going to tell me what to do on my program, you can go find a new place to work that magic because they're out of here. So I find this out on Wednesday, and she asked me to do another piece to wrap up the election. So I called Tony up. I said, okay, let's do a postmortem. Yeah, I filled him in on all of this. He goes right to the essence of it, demonstrating, in fact, that the obvious evidence that there's a political movement that's in motion here that needs to be studied and understood and all of that. But there's some characteristics of it that are very evident. And so when I did the piece, maybe I was a little flippant, but when I sent it in, the headline I sent over it is it a movement yet? Well, the next thing I hear is there's back and forth. There's another person that Aziri had picked up for the program as sort of as I guess a producer. He was doing some segments in some area of LA or around LA. I don't really know. I don't want to name him. I don't want to get involved in the I don't know what pissing match.
Don, can we say, just want to find out, like, where are things standing?
Yeah,
I'm now. Oh, you're getting there. You're getting okay. I'm
there's another guy who's a central part of the story because somebody else who was a very peripheral player and a recent member of the team expressed some opinion or another that created a controversy that very quickly dissembled down to him referring to the executive producer in the most vulgar term, the one that starts with a C, and in writing multiple times, and also referring to her race. And this triggered a complaint on that basis. This is these big email blasts, and it was. I'm no clinician. I'm not a psychiatrist or anything, but if I saw that coming out of me, I'd go talk to somebody and see if I had some rage problem or something. I don't know.
Right.
The result was that they suspended the show to investigate the complaint.
There you go. Wow. So this is, man. So suspended the show it's just indefinitely suspended right now. Is that where we're at?
What they're doing now is they're playing Democracy Now! Twice a day. And so, whereas before you would get, say, Amy Goodman's perspective of the Ukrainian war.
Oh, yeah.
Which is that evil Putin invaded Ukraine, and somehow the evil empire that is elsewhere, beating up on East Timor and Palestine, is on the right side here as we teeter on the edge of World War III. You get that in the morning, you would get from me, an American person with military background and credentials in international relations academically, discussing Russia's perspective. That part's gone now. You're going to get the double bang twice, exactly as we start firing missiles into Russia.
So that's what. Okay, so that's what I want to ask you about, because we can't. Unfortunately, we're running out of time soon. But this is the part. This is what I want. What is going on with the timing of this? That's because this is exactly. You mentioned Amy Goodman. You're talking about the Democracy Now! Voice, which we've known for the last 2.5 years. It's been Amy Goodman championing the little Ukrainian choirs, saying death to Putin, and she's thinking it's this beautiful, magical thing she's been celebrating on her show for 2.5 years. And you have this alternate voice, which I don't even say alternate voice. It's just it's more of a voice of reason, which you've been.
A dose of reality. Yeah.
So a dose of reality, which KPFK has allowed to be part of their station for 2.5 years. And now, where are we now? We're actually heading on 3 years since the day that, as Amy Goodman would say, the day that Putin woke up one morning in February 2022 and just decided he wanted to take over the world, that's what happens sometimes. Evil, very, very unique types of evil people just have that thought one morning out of nowhere. So she's been reporting that for 2.5 years, heading on 3 years. And you guys have been not just the voice of reason, the voice of, as you said, the voice of reality.
Yeah.
All of a sudden that's gone. So is the time, I'm sure it's hard enough that it's happened. Are you looking at the timing, Don, and saying this is odd, right when World War III is being escalated more than we've ever seen these past almost 3 years? Here we are right now, and KPFK is officially gone all propaganda state news, no other perspective. What are your thoughts on that timing issue?
Well, I mean, today's a perfect day to raise that question, too. My story yesterday would have begun with the bulk of a 2.5 minute clip I have from Matt Gaetz last year on a video program with somebody, I forget who, Timcast, I think, where he in essence describes the criminal enterprise known as the military-industrial complex in some considerable detail, and the interaction of the profit generation that goes on behalf of the defense, quote unquote, contractors, and the actions of the U.S. government, particularly in these extended wars. And he explains that his belief that he would like to investigate further, but has already some considerable evidence to support the belief, that the reason for the war in Ukraine in the first place, and the reason certainly for continuing to gin it so that it runs in an extended period, is because the gravy train in Afghanistan ended and they needed a new source of revenue stream. Yeah. And so this guy, all of a sudden, who sees the Pentagon and the Congress and the institutional bureaucracy in that light, is handed the keys to, the AG's office, made in essence the federal prosecutor by appointment. And of course, all of a sudden he's an evil guy that is screwing little girls and whatever other things they were going to charge him with, regardless of whatever he did or not. If he did that stuff, that does not make him unique among the 535 members of Congress.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to have followed Chuck Schumer around with a video camera over the course of his career. So you're looking at that. Tulsi Gabbard, they're putting her as the head of intelligence, and the group of them that whatever they intend, whatever Trump intends by doing it, if you are part of this conspiracy that's been residing in there and operating for the last few decades, you have to be looking at the possibility that a new center of power is gathering and your time is up. And so I would be covering that right now. And from here, as far as KPF is concerned, I won't be. Amy Goodman will be covering Donald Trump, the Russian stooge.
Man,
that's the
Don. What a battle you've been fighting. The fact that they pulled this right now, we all know that it is, controlled by something larger than what we're doing as indie journalists on the ground, trying to tell the story. Look, we don't all have to agree on everything, but I think that we have, honest, professional discourse. We know that we take pride in that when we have different takes. And Craig Pasta shows us that all the time. We're always, we can consider ourselves friendly colleagues and professionals, but sometimes we can have different takes. But the last thing we would ever want to willingly be part of is something that controls your narrative. It says you can only do this opinion. That opinion is not okay. And if you do that, we're going to punish you for it. That's not journalism. That is propaganda. And it sucks to see a public radio station like KPFK, Pacific Radio, we grew up with here in LA, just completely botch it. And it looks like they did it on purpose. So sorry that this happened for you, Don. We will continue to get the message out. I like the fact that you're resilient and you keep moving. You're not like 100% dependent on one entity. So you can anticipate these things will happen and keep going. Any last final thought? Because we do have to wrap this up, but I want people to know where they can find you and what to expect from you next moving forward in this crazy, really twisted, upside down independent media market we find ourselves in.
Well, there is a petition referenced at rebelalliancenews.org that I'd like to ask people to sign. And the website is there. I don't know how to put it up, but I gave it to you.
Can you put it in the chat? Oh, you got it. Okay. I will grab that. Right
and then send an email to Michael Novick, who's the interim general manager, and Stephanie Wells, who is the Pacifica director. She is apparently the one conducting this investigation now. I just want to very, very briefly be clear that there's a problem with the political content of my newscast, and then there's someone who else, not me or anyone on our side of this dispute, starts using racist and misogynist terms towards one of our members, and rather than defend us against it, rather than defend the executive producer, they are putting us on suspension while it's investigated. It's obviously a game that's being played, and so we'd like to ask people to contact Michael Novick and Stephanie Wells and to sign the petition at rebelalliancenews.org.
Okay, I'm going to throw that up right now. Don, thank you so much for sharing with us today. And obviously, come on, guys, you can follow Don on Twitter at Don DeBar. That's great. You got your own one there. A lot of people have to do different names. Don DeBar is good. This is okay. We got this. These are the people you got to contact if you want to put a word in. Fight censorship, guys. Fight the censorship machine. Email these guys over at KPFK. Look, it's a great news organization. Generally, it has been. At least I've participated with them. They do rely a lot on public support, but to have this type of politics going down right now, it's such a critical time where we need to be having discourse. We need to be challenging the oligarchy, challenging this system, this uniparty that has gotten us into this place 2 months before an inauguration of this next president that's apparently taking on the deep state. But we're not allowed to question this incompetent, brain dead president right now as he's making moves right now to bring us into World War III. This is the only way we can do this. We have to have these conversations. We have to utilize public access radio. So yes, email them right now, guys. Get Don DeBar back on KPFK with Rebel Alliance News and keep the conversation moving. We do everything we can here at Homeless Left, and we know we have other outlets doing it too. We work together, non-tribal approach to news, non-tribal approach to life, really, as we fight this battle against the oligarchy and the uniparty. Thank you, Don DeBar, so much for being on the Homeless Left with us, friend of the show. Yes, we look forward to meeting up again next time we have a revolution gathering. We'll be there. As Craig Postage-Ardula says, go to the story. You go to it. You don't just report on it. You go to the story. So, Don, appreciate it so much.
Thank you, brother.
And we'll see you next time.
Okay, man. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Don DeBar, everyone. We have to wrap the show up here in a moment, but let me just take a few more of these from you guys, since you guys have engaged with us today. We really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of good comments from you guys. I don't know if I'm able to get through them all, but yes. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, we did some ChatterX for you guys. Thank you, ChatterX. I'll put the last one up here. From ChatterX, the elites being global, cosmopolitan, no longer care if millions of people in their own countries die in the nuclear fire. Right on, ChatterX. I love your antiwar.com profile pic. Awesome. Thank you so much. And good point. Yorkshire Coast, Britain, and France are also pushing this. We need to stand back before it's too late. Very good. I got to move on to a few more here. We are running quick on time. We have another engagement coming up soon. But we've had a good show today. Real good show. Heading on the 4-hour mark. Let me grab a few of these. Non-tribal guy. Great, insightful take, Fiorella. Thank you for that, non-tribal guy. That was in reference to Fiorella out in Moscow, giving us the take from across the globe, 11 hours ahead of us. So we really appreciated that. Jokers for you, Fiorella. I don't know what that emoji is. Is that on point? That's bullseye? I think that's something like spot on. Yeah, that's what that is. I'm piecing it together. Sometimes I have a hard time with the emojis, but I feel like that's a dart hitting the bullseye. So right on, jokers for you. Appreciate that. Let's see. People are all agreeing with another joker's feel. Fiorella is good at seeing beyond their moves to see what's next. Absolutely. We all can do this, guys. We can all get better at anticipating moves We tell you when we're doing speculation. We tell you when we're reporting the news. We tell you when we're doing interviews, and then we tell you when we're doing funny stuff. We'll make jokes. We'll do parody stuff. Have fun. Gotta laugh. So there, I'll divide it into four places. So you guys know how we do this show. We overall it's presentation. We like to give it to you. We don't like to waste time. So presentation is important. We do this from Hollywood, so we do have a production quality to what we do. But we always divide it up. We let you know when we're doing the news. We let you know when we're doing commentary on the news, which generally goes together. We let you know when we're doing interviews and it's time for interviewing. And then I said earlier, we let you know when it's time to do funny parody stuff. We won't pretend something funny is real. We'll let you know it's funny, and we have to laugh sometimes because shit is so scary and so real. And the last thing we do, and this is important, we let you know when we're doing speculation, which isn't exactly commentary. It's more like predicting the future. And we can all get good at this. It doesn't mean we're going to be spot on. We're going to get stuff wrong sometimes. But we let you know when it's speculation time. And Fiorella is one of the best at that because she uses her critical thinking skills. She applies to the what's happened in the past, to what's happening in the present, to what's going to happen in the future. Follow patterns of behavior. Always look at historical context. Always ask, what are they not telling us? Piece it together. We can all be detectives, not just investigative journalists. Detective element is part of that. We have to uncover stuff. We have to go on like treasure hunts sometimes. And again, we can be wrong. It's okay. But we let you know when we're doing what part of the show. And we love the interviews too. That's when we ask the questions. We let other people go off and tell their stories. We like to hear your stories as well. And this is where we do the engagement with you. So I have just enough time for just a little more. I'm really, really sorry, guys, about I don't think I'm going to get through them all. We do have to cut this off in like 5 minutes here. But this is a good one. Zionist, this from DS TANKS. I can't pronounce it, but DS Tanks. That's it. DS Tanks. Okay. Zionist-led nation of societal slaves. Unfortunately, people still think it's religious when it's a generational political battle. Without a nuance of historical events, people overlook reality, it seems. Perfect. That's exactly what I'm saying there, DS Tanks. Thank you for that. Let me move on. Again, I apologize. I can't get through all of them. DS Tanks has done some great. Thank you for all the comments. Let's see here. Oh, you guys had a little conversation. DS Tanks and Yorkshire Coast. Oh, and Jokers for you guys are all having a nice conversation. It's all there. You guys can go back and read it. It's all cool. Thank you guys for engaging on this. Let me see if there's anything that sticks out. Maybe two more here. Yeah, look at you guys engaging on here. I can't go through your whole conversation, but it looks like you guys had fun with that conversation. Let's see if there's anything else here worth throwing up. Leslie has a lot more sharp on this than me. Let's see here. Yeah, I can't multitask this as well as Leslie does. I hope she comes back with us soon. But thank you, Jokers, for you. Yeah, hello, Matt. Yes, spot on. Very cool. Thank you for that. We'll just leave it there. Again, it's hard for me to multitask like this, but I appreciate all you guys today helping us out and engaging. We had a lot of great conversations. Let me just go ahead and thank. We got to thank our guests today: Nick Cruz, Jay Scott, Fiorella with Truthwire. Thanks to Stephanie Perucci representing Harry Fisher, who didn't make it on the show, but the book, we talked about the book. It's safe and effective for profit. That'll be available. You guys can, when that book becomes available, you can pre-order now. Challenging Big Pharma, challenging Big Food. And Don DeBar, of course, thanks for your contribution coming on the show with us today. A lot of great topics we talked today. Let me go ahead and throw up our next week. We're working on this. We're working on our Thanksgiving special. We're calling it a homeless Thanksgiving. And we'll see. I don't know if everyone's going to pop up. We might get some other guests, but that'll be on Thanksgiving at noon. We'll probably keep it short and sweet, probably just a 2-hour at the most. That's short for us, guys. 2 hours is very short for us. So that's coming up next week. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and share our Rumble. It's very, very important. We really need you guys to engage on Rumble. It's our kind of our home base. We're looking to start up on other areas as well. Twitter was awesome today. Matt Weingel, you guys were watching there. You guys are still watching on there. That's very cool. This is where we really, really appreciate your help out on locals. So please come and give us some support on locals. It allows us to keep doing independent media because the mainstream media refuses to do it. They refuse to do it. Okay. I think that is it for today. We'll just go ahead and leave you with this as we sign off. Apparently, Israel is putting out some help wanted signs to find new supporters. What better time to do it? Right during the holiday season. Apparently, apparently Israel's looking for some new support. So we'll leave you with this little parody video on Israel looking for new support. But it's not parody funny, it's parody insightful. And you guys can see what type of damage Israel has done and all the harm that's brought. This is exactly the type of flyer you would expect from them during holiday season, looking for new support. So enjoy the video. Peace out, guys, and we will see you next week for our Thanksgiving special. Remember, power to the people. Always act out of courage, conviction, and above all, principle. And we'll see you guys next week here on The Homeless Out. The Homeless Left. Peace. I'm out.